All right, hello everyone, here we are. I know it looks like a few people commented before I actually went live. I'm not sure why that is. I know I kind of set up the live stream a little ahead of time just so I could get everything ready to go. Is the toilet fixed? Well, they're working on it. If you watched yesterday's vlog, if you watched the vlog I posted today, I talk about that somewhat. It turns out that the maintenance guy couldn't do the job on his own. I don't know exactly what the problem is, but he couldn't seem to fish out whatever the problem was. So he ended up calling in real plumbers to do the job, and they worked on it for I don't know about 4 hours last night. They didn't get out of here until like 10 o'clock. So they say they fixed the problem. I'm not sure yet because they haven't put the toilet back in, and so I can't verify that everything works. But sorry, sometimes the glasses irritate me a bit. But before they can put the toilet back in and all that stuff, they have to redo or repair the damage they did to the drywall. Because in order to they actually ended up having to put a camera down the sewer line to figure out what was there. Fortunately, I didn't see what it was because once I realized that the A team was actually working on things, I just figured it'd stay out of their way. So I didn't see what they got, but they came back after a while and said they fixed the problem. So, we'll see. They're supposed to come in the next day or so and repair the drywall, and then they're going to put the toilet back together, and we'll go from there. But so far we're all just kind of playing it by ear here. What's going on with the pods? Okay, well, supposedly the pods are supposed to be here. There's three of them, of course. There's only one that I really need. That was the third and final one that I loaded right before I moved. And that one's supposed to be here on Monday. So it's going to be nice to have my bed back and actually have some real furniture. When I moved into this place, they had just finished remodeling it. I guess I can't imagine what it was like before, but they included a new dishwasher, a new range, a new microwave, and a new refrigerator. I'm not really 100% happy with the refrigerator, so I think they'll probably be happy. I'll probably give them that one back because mine's in the pod that's coming on Sunday. And I prefer mine. I really like, when I have drinks, I like them to be really, really cold. And I've got that refrigerator cranked down as far as it'll go, and it just isn't doing it for me. So we'll just probably put mine in and use that from now on. Like I said, I'm sure the landlord will be happy to have a brand new refrigerator they can give to somebody else. Then we'll both be happy. Do I have plants in the pods? Yes, the pod that's due to come on Monday has the palm trees and the cactus in it. So, hopefully we're gonna get those out. We haven't killed them because they've now been in that pod for like 3 weeks. That's like insane. So, yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's got to be ice cold grapefruit juice. Absolutely. There's just no way around that, and I drink a lot of milk, and I like it when my milk is ice cold too. Some people like it warm, and there's times where that works for me, but I'm for the most part, I like things when they're really cold. So, do I think they'll fare well? I'm assuming you're talking about the plants. I expect the plants will probably be all right. I've read in a few places and actually had a couple of people suggest that I'm going to have to reacclimate the plants to the light, kind of keep them in a low light environment for a short time until they're ready to deal with that. So I don't know how I'll deal with that. They'll probably end up in the backyard under, some garden netting or something. Fortunately, the backyard is kind of shady to begin with. So hopefully that won't be much of a problem. Yeah, they're still working on the toilet. The plumbers came in last night to work on that, and they were here until about 10 o'clock working on it. I think they fixed the problem. They, like I said, they snaked down the sewer line with a camera, and I guess they saw what they were looking for and were able to get it out of there because a little while later they said, "Yeah, it looks like we fixed it." But next thing's got to happen now. They got to repair the drywall in there because they literally ripped the wall down to get to all that plumbing. Torchy's Tacos. I'll have to look that up. Would I ever buy a fixer-upper house? I don't know. Maybe it would depend on the type of problems that need to be fixed. I don't. I can do a lot of this stuff. But I guess if I got a really, really good deal on the house because it was a bit of a fixer-up, I'd consider that. But for the most part, I want something that's somewhat livable when I move in. I do have to say I'm glad I didn't have to pay for. I'm not going to have to pay for that all that stuff the plumbers did because one coming in Friday night, after hours, and then spending 4 hours here and ripping the walls out and you know snaking down the plumbing, down the sewer line, all that. That's going to cost a lot of money. I remember when I had to do just some real simple plumbing things on my house, that was like $1,000. So yeah, my landlord isn't going to be very, very happy about that. Why did I pick Waco? Well, I pretty much decided I wanted to move to Texas just because the business environment seems a little bit more friendly here. The cost of living is so much lower, and so I looked at that. And basically, the way I chose Waco is I just really pulled up a satellite map on Google Maps and looked for cities that I thought had significant industry in it, looking for things that looked like they had good jobs and were kind of on the east side of the state. I wanted to be on the east side of the state because the east side of the state is a little greener than like West Texas, which is more desert-like. And it really kind of makes sense if you think about it, because when you look at Texas, it's a big state like this, and on this side you got Mexico going down, so anything coming in off of Mexico is going to be more dry than stuff that's coming in off the Gulf. So that makes sense. It's going to be a lot greener in that area. Yeah, you're right. $2.35 a gallon. I was paying $4.50 a gallon in California. That's one of the big things. And no state income tax. That's really going to be nice. Because that's really where I really got got it stuck to me was with the state income tax because in some cases it's almost more than the federal. And in terms of the paperwork, it's far more complicated. Yeah, I want to find a job before I go house hunting because I don't want to anchor myself down with a house and say, oh, I don't really like this job. So kind of that's why I decided to go apartment first, is so that I could maintain a little mobility if it didn't work out, if I didn't like where I was, and had to find a job that was maybe a little bit more away, then once I get to the point where I'm comfortable with the job and happy where I am, I can buy a house that's closer to where I want to be. Yeah, exactly. Got to make sure I like Waco. I mean, so far I like it a lot. And I commented on one of my vlogs a couple days ago that the people are just so much more friendly here. In California, most people just assume kick you as talk to you. So I don't know. It's just a big change of pace, and I really, really like the people here. I haven't not had a negative encounter with anyone here, and that's just I can't say that about California. Some Californians are just jerks sometimes. I don't know. Yeah, that's lots of industry between Waco and Austin. Like I said, I'm willing to drive a little bit. In fact, when I do get a house, I'd like to find a place that's maybe a little bit outside of town so that I can, have have a little land. Right now, when I was here a few months ago, I kind of looked around at houses and found a bunch of them right on Waco Lake. I think they call it Lake Waco, but Waco Lake, I don't know. That sounds better to me. Uh, but I found a bunch of houses right on Lake Waco, and they were really nice houses, and most of them were right there in my price range. And the only real criticism I had was the property size was a little smaller. I'd like to be, I'd like to move up a little bit. I wouldn't mind having an acre or even more. So, and it seems to me, probably you're going to pay a little bit of a premium for a house if it's right on the lake. So it seems to me you get a little bit further away from town, you get a little bit further away from the lake. You ought to be able to get more property for the same amount of money, or even less money. Lake Huron, that's one of the Great Lakes, right? Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to do that. Actually, when I was first looking to move out of California, Jordan's father actually talked to me. Jordan's father works for a company that manufactures welders, and he was trying to get me to move up, I think, into like Wisconsin or Michigan or something like that. And I would have considered that, but it gets a little bit too cold there, and I wouldn't mind a little bit of snow and all that, but I don't want to go into a place that freezes solid for 3 months a year. That's a little too much for me. I think Texas is going to probably be a little more. It's going to give me the seasons I'd like to see without having to deal with the really extremes of the cold. 'Cause I'm kind of a wimp when it comes to being cold. No rain today. We got a little bit yesterday. So yeah, I don't know. Right now they're saying that the chances of rain are pretty low for the next couple of days, but I think like the middle of next week, Wednesday and Thursday, they're saying like 40 or 50% chance. So we'll see how that works. Do I like to fish? I haven't fished in a long time, but all of my family is out of Minnesota, so you can't be someone who's got roots in Minnesota and not like to fish. So yeah, I like to fish. I've done it a bunch of times, but I haven't done it in a very, very long time. And I don't know, maybe I'd get a boat, it just depends on how much I would think I would do that. And, right now that wouldn't be a huge priority, but, I think I'd spend probably a lot of my time if I got a house, just making the house, my house. I was in the last place for almost 22 years, and I had just pretty much gotten it the way I wanted it. I went, I completely repainted the inside, did everything in the backyard, did some updates inside and stuff like that. Like I said, I just about gotten it the way I wanted it. But that's the way it works. Now somebody else is going to turn it into their house. Am I going to take you places? I'm not really going to steal a lot of Jordan's thunder because that's his thing. But we may do things from time to time, but primarily I think a lot of this vlog is just going to focus on my adventures of getting this apartment into living order, and all the stuff that goes along with that. Like I said, I did that the veterans grave, the veterans cemetery on Memorial Day, but that was more of a fluke than anything else. It seemed like just something I wanted to do, but the going places and seeing things isn't going to be a huge feature of this vlog. Like I said, I might do a little bit, but probably not a whole lot. Yeah, the pod is supposed to, one of the pods, the one I need, the one that has all my primary stuff is supposed to be here on Monday. So I'm looking forward to having my bed back, and that'll be nice. And getting the couch and all my furniture in here, and I brought one box set of DVDs with me in the car with me when Jordan and I came here, and it was the entire series of the TV show The A-Team, and I'm kind of getting a little burned out on that. So already I've kind of gotten to the point where I'm doing more like Netflix and YouTube stuff right now because I'm getting a little burned out on A-Team. I can take that, but you got to remember that's kind of a formula show, and every show is kind of the same formula. The guys come in, they discover somebody who's got a problem. They go in, they stick their nose in it, they get their butts handed to them the first time. They come back stronger, and they save the day at the end of the day. And that's pretty much what every show of the A-Team is. It's still a lot of fun to watch, but favorite Netflix shows, I don't know. I'm not a really huge adventuresome person when it goes to looking at new shows. It's basically, I'm looking at it for things that I like in the past, the TV shows and stuff like that I've seen in the past. I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge Star Trek nerd. So, I like all the Star Trek movies, the Star Trek spinoffs and all that. And I've been watching a lot of that. And a lot of the Marvel stuff is on there. And I like the Marvel comics, movies, and all that fun stuff. So, yeah, that's what I'm doing. And then, of course, on YouTube, I'm watching Jordan and Adam and all that. But even there, I'm not really all that adventuresome. Somebody has to kind of drag me kicking and screaming into a new, any kind of a program. So we'll see how it works. But, yeah, currently I'm going to probably be unloading the pods by myself. I loaded them for the most part on my own. So, I can probably unload them too. Sorry, my glasses keep itching. I must have a hair in there or something. Whatever. I do have a couple of neighbors that have kind of offered that maybe they might help me move in when the good time comes. Like I said, the people in Texas are just really nice. These guys, just walk up to me. It's really uncomfortable for me to do stuff like that. I'm not the most sociable person in the world, but when you have somebody that comes up to you and offers to help, and just comes up and says hello, that's really nice. See, Jordan says, have I bought boots and spurs yet? Haven't gone that far, but I have really been thinking about getting a cowboy hat. I thought it'd be really funny just for me to show up on my vlog one day and be wearing the hat and not even say anything about it and just wait for the comments, see what people say. Yeah, no 10-gallon hats, no 10-gallon hats yet, but sometime, probably. Yeah, I like Deep Space Nine. I like Voyager. I even like the prequel Star Trek Enterprise. Now, there's a new one on that I haven't really seen. Haven't really been looking into that one that much, but I don't know. Maybe someday. But like I said, Voyager and DS9 are both kind of cool shows. I like them. I like the storylines. I like the characters. So yeah. I actually a couple days ago, I've been driving back and forth, kind of getting used to the area around here, and I kept noticing there was this place that had Western wear, and so I decided a couple days ago, just when I was in the neighborhood, to go check them out just to see what they had. It was kind of interesting, but and I was mainly interested in seeing what they had in terms of hats, and I didn't really see a real a hat that really grabbed my attention. I want to, get something that's kind of nice, and is decorated, and has a nice band around it and all that stuff. Next Generation, I watched that religiously when it was on the air, but unfortunately, I just kind of burned myself out on it, and so I don't really watch that one much. I have gone by recently and gone through the whole series and picked out episodes that I wanted to watch, and there were more of them that I liked and that I remembered I like. Oh, Jenny has a dog named 7 of 9. Awesome. Then you get more dogs. It could be 8 of 9, 9 of 9. But then you got to end it then because then you got to come up with a new number or something like that. Yeah, I really like the storyline of Voyager. That was an odd, turn of events. The ship gets pulled to the other side of the galaxy and it's 70 years home. That was an interesting twist. Do I have any bids on SWGE? I don't know what SWG is. So I don't know. I can't answer that one. Yeah, Star Trek Discovery. I guess that's the new one. Haven't really watched that one. I hear that I hear that they're going to do a new Star Trek starring Captain Picard, and I guess they're going to call it Star Trek Picard or something like that. I don't know. I might have to check that out because I really like Patrick Stewart. He's really good in a lot of different things. He was in the Marvel movie about the mutants, whatever it was. He was X-Men. That's the word I'm looking for. He was in X-Men. He was the leader of the X-Men. So, and of course Captain Picard was great in Star Trek too. So, yeah, I always liked Odo too. He was an interesting character. The changeling, and I like how his story evolved. How he started out not knowing who he was or where he came from, and then discovers that that he's a member of the founders who are the changelings and all that, and they're the leaders of the Dominion. That was a great storyline. I am still eating out for the most part because I don't have any pots and pans, I don't have any dishes or anything like that. So it's hard to cook my own food, but that will come also when, that will come eventually. I think, once I get the pod here on Monday, I'm going to really look forward to being able to start cooking my own food again. Am I going to try and buy a house before Halloween? I don't know. I'm on a 6-month lease right now with this place, and unless things continue to get really, really bad, I may end up breaking the lease here. But if not, we'll stay with this place. Like I said, somebody suggested in the comments on one of my videos today that I ought to ask the landlord if there's another place here they can move me into. And my thought on that was, well, that's probably not that good of an idea, just because now I'm going to start with a new apartment with all sorts of problems. I don't know what they are. At least on the, in this apartment, I know where everything is. I know where the problems are. I know what to avoid. So, I don't know. I think I'll probably stay with here. Nothing here, once I get the toilet fixed, nothing here is really dangerous so far. It'll just be a matter of finding out anything that I haven't discovered yet. Like I said, we're still discovering stuff. The plumbers, when they were here last night, they discovered that the guys who installed the new dishwasher didn't bother to connect the drain. So I hadn't discovered that yet because I hadn't used the dishwasher because I don't have any dishes. So, that would have just been another problem. That could have been a real disaster too, because if I started the dishwasher and then went away, I might come back a couple hours later and the whole place might be flooded. So, it was real lucky that they discovered that. And, it was funny because the plumbers came out to me and they said, so what's the problem with the sink? And I said, well, to my knowledge, there isn't any problem with the sink. And they said, yeah, there's a problem with the sink because we got the water on and water is pouring out of the cabinet beneath the sink. And they looked at it, it's like, oh yeah, because what you have when you have the garbage disposal, there's like a little fitting on there that you can plug the drain hose of the dishwasher in. And so both ends of it were disconnected because the drain hose was just draining right into the cabinet from the dishwasher. And if the water doesn't go down the drain fast enough that the garbage disposal fills up with water, then water starts pouring out of that too. So, it's kind of a double whammy on that. So basically, the solution until we can get that fixed is to, just wait and, just not to use that half of the sink. Fortunately, I can use one half of it because that doesn't drain into the garbage disposal. Truth is, I could, hooking up the garbage disposal to the dishwasher, that's really easy. I could probably do that. And I might end up doing that on my own just because, I think the maintenance people, they're going to have enough of their own problems to deal with. Yeah, I know. Well, it makes me wonder why the last tenant left too, and if they were the cause of the problems, or you know, it was just the people that did the repair work just didn't know what they were doing. I don't know. I don't know how long this place was vacant. I suspect it was for quite a while because when I got here, there was a notice in the mailbox for the mail carrier letting them know that this place was vacant. And I think it had been vacant for so long that the mail carrier wasn't even bothering to bring mail by the place anymore because there was mail in there. And after I moved in, I took the tag out. And, the instructions on tag were, put your name, your address on it, and then put it in the mailbox so that the mailman can pick it up and they'll so they know, that you've moved from a new place. The place isn't vacant anymore. Well, like I said, I think the place had been vacant so long that the mail carrier just stopped looking. So I eventually ended up going to one of the main branch post offices in the area and letting them know that you can that I'm back in the house again. And it was interesting because they said, okay, well, we'll put that on our list, and probably tomorrow you'll have your first mail. Well, I got home and like 2 hours later, the mail carrier came by, so they must have gotten the message to him, and he had a few things that were backed up for me. So they knew that there was something going on, and they just hadn't been delivering. So obviously, that was what I had to do. Is I had to go to the post office, and have them actually, let get my system activated again. Yeah. Like I said, when the plumbers came back to me and they said, yeah, so what's wrong with the sink? And I said, well, I don't think there's anything wrong with the sink to my knowledge. And they said, yeah, there's something wrong with the sink. There's water pouring out of there. And they went out there and they're right. And I felt sorry for them too because I didn't even have towels or mop or anything to do it. So they had to like run out to their van to find towels to even sop up the mess. Yeah, the cable. I have no idea where that cable was going because obviously it isn't tied into any of the other cable lines. Because, like I said, I'm live streaming right now and I'm not having any problems. I'm actually having really great internet. So, you know, and I haven't been able to check the internet, or I haven't been able to check cable TV yet because I don't have a TV right now because the TV is in the pod. Um, I have an old computer monitor that used to be part of my computer at home, but I but I've been having problems with it. It's been a little rough turning on. Sometimes it just didn't turn on. I think it requires a little bit more power to kind of start everything up, and I think probably what's going on is the power supply in there wasn't that good. So I think probably the trip to Texas kind of did it in. So first night I was here, I ended up going out and buying a new computer monitor. I've been using that. I really like the new monitor. It's really good. But I can't even get the old one to work with the cable. So I'm probably just gonna have to dispose of that. Yeah, sunburn. For the record, that isn't sunburn. I don't have any sunburn. That was all a misdiagnosis from everyone that was saying that. Every once in a while, my face gets red, and that just happens, and that's been happening for the last couple of days. Don't feel too bad about it, though, because when I was talking to the landlord the other day, she made the same comment. She thought I'd gotten a little bit too much sun. So, yeah, it's not sunburn. It's just a skin condition I deal with from time to time. It doesn't hurt. It's just ugly. Yeah, no, I don't think it was your computer because I mean I could see it in the mirror when I looked at it, and when I was editing my videos, like, gosh, my skin looks horrible right now. AC is working. Yeah, I'm having to keep that on a lot right now. it's one of those things I'm trying my best because I remember when I used to use the AC a lot in California that it really, really killed my electric bill. So I'm hoping it isn't going to be bad. Maybe this is more efficient of a system or something. I know it isn't really a high-end thermostat. It doesn't look like, it has the ability to turn stuff on or off automatically. It just seems like you turn it on and it just pumps in air at a certain temperature. So it just runs and runs and runs. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to see what it does to my electric bill. Like I said, I got the money from the house, so I can afford a little bit of an expense this first month. Yeah, cable TV in the bathroom. You're right. Yeah, all I need is a TV in there. Because, assuming that line works, and I haven't tried it, because like I said, before they pulled it out of the wall last night, it was just inside the wall behind my computer in the living room here. And so I pulled the panel off, but didn't really see inside of there. So when they pulled it out on the backside in the bathroom, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if it's we'll see if it works at some point. Texas gets over 100 in the summertime. Yeah, so does California sometimes. I find that the heat doesn't seem as bad to me, I think, because one, there's generally a little bit more of a breeze, and there's also a little bit more humidity. I know a lot of people say that humidity makes things less comfortable. I think it actually helps a little bit, especially when there's a breeze. So I don't know, we'll see what it does, but 100-degree temperatures, I've experienced that in California. I don't expect it'll be a big problem. Yeah, humidity is really, really high here. Have I considered joining the branch Davidians yet? No, I don't think I'm going to do that. I heard that they're actually still in operation. So, if I were to go out there and check them out, I don't know if I'd actually be able to get very far on the property because they actually still have a presence in Waco. Yeah, heat in the South is different, and I got to admit, I know a little bit about it. I've experienced it firsthand because a number of years ago, when I used to work in the compact disc field, the company I worked at had a facility in Huntsville, Alabama, and one time when they had a personnel shortage there, they actually shipped me to Alabama, and I spent the whole summer here in Alabama. So I know a little bit about how that works, and I can deal with the heat and the humidity. I've experienced that. Shouldn't be that much of a problem. I also have a lot of family in Minnesota, so and it gets humid and hot there in the summer too. You wouldn't think so being that far north, but it does get pretty warm. Yeah, Rip Rocky Erickson. That was sad. Jordan and I went and saw him a couple of years ago, and that was a lot of fun. I posted a couple of videos that I shot of him at the time on my Facebook profile yesterday. That was sad. That was a sad loss, but we're losing our musicians left and right. It happens. Have I visited the games from HGTV yet? Not yet, but I am actually a fan of the show. It would be fun to check them out. I might go do that at some point. Who knows? Maybe I can get a job with them. Do I play in a band? No, not really. I've messed around a little bit with it, but nothing I would consider actually being in a band. Please vlog the silos. I'm assuming you're talking about the Chip and Joanna Games' silos. I read something somewhere that Chip put some sort of a love message to Joanna on one of their silos. I don't know if it's still there or it's just a temporary thing. Seems like he put a lot of work into it, so maybe it is a more permanent thing. Yeah, well, that's what Chip and Joanna did. They helped people find houses, and what Joanna would do is help people find the right house, and then Chip would help them turn into the house they want. So yeah, that was another one of the things that kind of attracted me to Texas in the first place was their show, seeing how these people were coming in here, and they had only a certain amount of money to deal with, and it seemed the prices were really, really good. So that was something obviously that attracted me here. I think everything outside of California is going to be an improvement money wise. So yeah, the only thing I've ever seen with Chip and Joanna is when they actually go in and completely tear down the house on the inside and rebuild it basically from the ground up. They buy some junker fixer upper in a nice neighborhood and completely gut the inside. Yeah, I saw that shirt. I like that shirt. That one's funny. I'm actually going to have to contact the t-shirt place because they told me they'll send me shirts for free just because I'm associated with Jordan. So I might actually have to call them and ask for one of those. I have one of the other one, the Jetsons one, the UFO. And I like that one too. That one's kind of funny. Yeah, Bite and Nibble are doing just fine now. They're pretty much acclimated to the place. Nibble, they both kind of hang out in the closet during the day, and so you won't see them a whole lot. But who knows? Maybe they'll make an appearance. Who knows? Maybe they'll hear all the activity down here and think, hey, I got to go down and see what's going on. Yeah, Bite and Nibble are both doing fine. Like I said, they're settling in. Bite is 100% now. Nibble still looks around at this place and doesn't understand what exactly happened. But she's getting to the point where she's wandering around now and doing her thing. Yeah, well, just like with everything you do for the first time, especially when you're on camera or something like that, you get nervous after a while, but eventually, you kind of get over it and things get a little bit more comfortable. And I think I'm getting a little bit more comfortable, using the camera and all that. And the first couple videos I did, I'm just not a very smooth speaker, and so there were a lot of times where I'd lose my train of thought or something like that. And the first couple videos were really difficult just because I'd have to spend so much time editing afterwards to clean up all the brain freezes and all that stuff and all that. But I'm getting a little bit smoother at it, and I think I'm also learning when I make a mistake that how to correct the mistake so that it's easy to fix in the edit. Sometimes a lot of times when I talk, it kind of just turns into one big long stream of consciousness where there's no pauses, no periods, no commas, no nothing. And if you do that too much, it makes it really hard to piece it together. So you kind of have to force yourself to stop and take a break every once in a while. So if you do screw up, you can go back and just do that section again. But I'm getting a little better with that, and having a little bit more fun doing it. So yeah, I'm sure the cats will be a little happier when the furniture gets here. Right now the only thing familiar to them is me. Because I mean, even the lazy boy chair I have, I bought here, so they aren't familiar with any of this stuff. It took Bite 3 or 4 days to come up and visit me on the chair. And he used to do that all the time. Now he doesn't. Now he's comfortable again with the chair, and he'll be right up there. Yeah, yeah, okay. I didn't realize that was Jordan that asked that question. So yeah, until somebody said, "Oh yeah, Jordan's interviewing Breck." Yeah, I am getting more comfortable with the vlogging, and I'm one of the things I'm noticing now that I didn't really think about at the time is when I'm doing things, I'm saying, "Oh, I had to vlog this," or "Oh, I had to, something happened. I had to talk about that." So that's coming a little bit more. I'm coming a little bit more comfortable with that. Jordan talks a lot about some of the hardware he uses, so that's really cool too. In fact, I had a little issue today. Got up this morning and my phone started misbehaving. The app that you use to download other apps started just repeatedly crashing, and I went over to the cell phone store, and basically they just said, yeah, I mean, you can fix this, but the phone is really getting old, and the battery life is getting old. So I actually ended up getting a brand new phone today. And when I got the phone, I also got a free tablet. So I don't know. It'll be nice to actually have a couple devices. I may actually still try and fix the old phone because I'll just maybe use it as a backup camera. But right now, the new phone behaves as a camera. In fact, the last scene in the vlog I shot today was shot on the new camera. And I don't know, I think the camera's a little better. I'm interested to see how that works. And so, yeah, I don't know. We'll see on that. Plus, I'll be able to use the little tablet that they gave me, and that's kind of fun too. That's going to be a little bit bigger of a screen, and that's kind of nice for people like me who need glasses to see. I'm 20/20 at distance, but when I'm reading or anything like that, I got to have them, or else I can't see anything. So, having a little bit larger of a screen is probably going to help a lot. And I'm doing this on my laptop, so that's a nice big screen too. I could never do it like Jordan does it on his cell phone because I wouldn't be able to see it. Yeah, that's what Jordan was saying is that I have to hit 1,000 subscribers and I guess 4,000 hours of total view time. So I'm like inches away from the 1,000 subscribers. I don't know, I can't see what the number is for now, but it was like over 900 just before I started. And like I said, 4,000 hours. I'm a little bit more than halfway to that mark. And when I did the live stream the other day, that actually did a lot for not for pushing my total view time up. So that was actually one of the factors that kind of encouraged me to do another one of these. And people seem to enjoy them, and it gives people a chance to ask me questions that maybe there isn't time to cover in the vlogs. So this is a good time to do that. Yeah, I don't know if Super Chat activates at that point either. Maybe Jordan can answer that because I don't know anything about any of this financial end of stuff. If Super Chat is activated at the same time, or if I can even do that now. I know Patreon is completely independent of YouTube, so I could probably start up with that. But I don't know. I'll see what happens. I'll probably set up a Patreon at some point in case anybody wants to do something, and it'll probably be about the same time I hit that magic mark on YouTube. What's better, than Groove Tube or Kentucky Fried Movie? I love both of them, but I guess I'd have to lean towards or to Kentucky Fried Movie. That movie just slays me every time I watch it. Yeah, I know. In these early days, a lot of these vlogs, it's mostly to just entertain myself. So, the laugh track, the concept of that when I first thought of that the idea made me laugh. And the truth is, those are the only two vlogs that I've done that I've actually watched them on YouTube, and they still make me laugh. Just how hokey it is. I don't know if I'd say I always wanted to work at Disneyland, but I did apply right out of high school and didn't really they wouldn't even really talk to me at the time. I didn't actually go in. I just kind of submitted an application, and I never heard from them, and it didn't seem like the right move for me. The reason I went with Disney after the whole after my previous career ended was it was actually a recommendation from my mom. She suggested doing it. I said, what the heck, I could do worse. And what ended up happening is I went in and went into the HR office, and they hire so many people in that place that, they just have an assembly line basically for hiring people. You go into a large waiting room, you fill out your application, they give you a list of jobs that they're looking for at the time, because that's how they did it when I applied, and you picked a first and second choice, and then they did kind of a bulk interview where it was just a general interview where you were in the same room with several other people, and you all got interviewed at once. And I think probably one of the things that got me past the first interview was just that the other person wasn't that impressive. It was just kind of slow on the response and didn't really have great answers. So I think I just looked good in comparison. But then I went in for a more specific interview with the manager of the department I was going to go into, and it wasn't long before I had that job. Well, actually, they didn't. It isn't like they assigned me a job. There were a handful of things that they were offering that day, that they were looking for people for that day. And my number one list was parades, and number two on my list was like warehouse. And I did that just because I had some warehouse experience, knew how to drive a forklift, and had done a lot of that. So I knew how to do that. But my first choice was parades, just because I don't know. I guess I've always been really kind of lucky because I've always had jobs in my life that I love doing. Even though Disney frustrated me because there was no real future in it, I loved what I did. I loved driving the floats. I loved working the parades. I loved interacting with the guests. It was so much fun, and I learned so much from them. But it just the fact that there was no future in it, and I couldn't even seem to make any moves within the company. I don't know what that was all about, but I applied multiple times to transfer to other departments, and I could never even get a reply back from them. Makes you kind of wonder if the managers of the new departments were talking to the manager of the current department, and because the managers of the current department weren't really a fan of me, maybe they weren't giving me very good reviews, and that was why I would never even get a response from them, because I have pretty good qualifications, and a lot of the stuff they teach you anyway because they want you to do it their way. Disney has very specific processes, and they do it a certain way. And so, if you don't know specifically, if you just basically have the general knowledge, they can teach you how to do that. But nobody was even willing to give me a shot. So eventually, you just kind of have to get to the point where you say, you know what, I'm just going to try something else. Disney wasn't for me. That's it. If they don't like you, you're not going very far. And that's, I think, what I said in previous vlogs is that Disney, at least the parades department, the problem was that all of the management came out of the performer end of things. And performers have always had kind of a negative opinion of everyone else. They kind of look down on you. My department was called parade support. So when you hear the word support, you think, oh, they're my assistants, and they tend to treat you down, and they can look down on you. And I think ultimately what ends up happening is when those people become managers, the managers also have the same mentality. That, I think, was their biggest problem, is that they needed a little bit more diversity of experience in the management of things, because the entire management team, it was all performance. And, unfortunately, none of those people really knew anything that about any other part, and they had no real interest in it, because if you look down on those people, you're not going to really want to spend a whole bunch of time trying to understand them or what they do. So I don't know. That's just Disney. They got to do what they got to do. Yeah, you're right, Jordan. I really ought to do that. And at some point, I think I still technically work for them. I'm not getting any hours right now because they shut down the parade for, well, basically until November when they start getting into Christmas stuff again. So there's no parade over at California Adventure this year. And so my hours, which, I used to get, good hours, 30, 40 hours a week out of that place. I was full time, so they kind of had to give me hours as much as possible. And I had seniority and all that, so I usually was given first choice on that kind of stuff. But when there's no hours, there's no one to give anyone hours to. So Disney is a great place. I don't rag on the company. If you're paying $150 a head to get in there, it's a fantastic place, and they go overboard. In fact, when I was talking to the pods people about their customer service, I was actually bringing up Disney as an example of how they should be doing things. At Disney gives their employees an enormous amount of latitude to do what's necessary to make the guests happy. If any cast member sees something that's gone wrong, that Disney dropped the ball on, or even something as stupid as, oh, my kid bought one of those $20 balloons and let go of it and it flew away. The cast members are empowered to do something about it. There's something in the available cast members called a no strings attached card. They call it NSA cards, for no strings attached, and basically it gives the cast member the opportunity to make right something that went wrong. It might be as simple as, hey, here's a no strings attached card. Go to a balloon vendor and they'll give you a new balloon. Or, it could be a free stuffed animal, or it could even comp somebody their meal. If something goes wrong, Disney just really wants the guests to be happy. And, I wish there was as much concern about making the employees happy, because happy employees make happy companies. And unfortunately, there's a lot of very upset and bitter people at Disney. I know firsthand, because I know a lot of them. And you're right, it may be different in Orlando. As soon as Disney World opened up, all of the executives moved to Florida and basically abandoned California. And so I think a lot of times maybe the executives don't really know how bad things have gotten at Disney. I do know people who have been with Disney for so long that they date back to the days where they actually knew Walt personally. And one of these friends has told me on numerous occasions that Walt would not be happy with what Iger and the rest of them have done to that company. Yeah, the guest is absolutely number one. And I mean, that's how it should be. But, the employees should be number two. And I don't know where the Disney employees rank in management's eyes. Can't be very high. Yeah, exactly. It's so easy. I mean, it's so easy to be good to your people. All you do, you don't even need to be able to, fix every problem. You just have to act like you care. And, I just never really felt like anybody cared. A perfect example, I've made it clear to the management at Disney that I want to evolve and grow within the company and become more valuable so that I can earn more and, have opportunities to move in the company. But you know what? If there was some sort of problem that was holding me back, I never had a manager come up to me and say, I hear you. I know you want to move upward in the company. Here's what the problem is. Here's what you need to work on. I never heard any of that because either they don't care or, whatever. They don't care about you. They don't care about you. And that's just a horrible way to run a company. I think the best companies are the ones where the company treats the employees well. Because when the employees are happy, they go out of their way to make sure the customers are happy. That's just the way it works. I've seen all sorts of examples of that. It was funny. I went out to dinner last night. Just went to a local Taco Bell for dinner because the guy who was working on the toilet, he needed to leave, and he had the plumbers coming in, and he wanted to make sure I was going to be here to, be here when the plumbers were here. And so I said, okay, well, I'll just go get some Taco Bell, and I'll just take it, bring it back here and eat it here. But when I got there, they were, really, really busy, and all the people were working in the back, working on food for other people. And I ended up sitting at the counter for like a couple minutes. And as I was standing there, I saw one employee who just came out of the back and was already in their street clothes. So they had clearly clocked out and were ready to go home. And they saw me waiting there and said, "Oh, has somebody taken care of you?" And I said, "No, I'm just waiting." And said, "Oh, hang on, I'll take care of that." And this employee who was off the clock and in their street clothes went behind the counter and took my order. That would never happen in California. But that's just a perfect example of really good customer service skills. Something Disney could learn from. Because obviously that Taco Bell had emphasized with their employees that the customer is important, and it's okay to go out of your way, to take care of your employees so that they feel comfortable taking care of your customers, because ultimately your employees are the face that your customer is going to see. And if that face isn't happy, your customers aren't going to be happy. Yeah, I don't know if Taco Bell has NSA cards, but you're right. That's exactly, that employee went out of their way to take care of a problem that she really wouldn't have had to do. When I was walking out of the place, I saw she was sitting there waiting for a ride to pick her up. I actually went over there and showed my appreciation for that. Acknowledged that, wow, you were like off the clock, weren't you, when you did that? Yeah, Disney has an enormously high turnover rate. I mean, all the people that were there when I started, there's only maybe 4 or 5 of them that are still there. I mean, I was there for 10 years, but, usually when you have a good company, the employees will stay. You'll have a lot of employees that, have been there for a long time. Like I said, this friend of mine had been there for going on 50 years. He used to share coffee with Walt, and they'd just sit and talk. And he told me about the time he first met him, and he called him Mr. Disney, and he said, and Walt said, no, it's not Mr. Disney, I'm Walt. And he insisted that everyone call him Walt. I heard that from a lot of people. Yeah, Walt was an amazing person. Walt died in either the late 60s or early 70s. I know that it was right at the time that they were starting to build Disney World. Yeah, the more I see about this place, I don't want to work here. I absolutely don't want to work here, because if my apartment, which I'm assuming they spent a whole bunch of time fixing up, if this is the state of this apartment after they fixed it up, I can't imagine one. I can imagine what some of these other units look like. So it looks like everyone kind of ran out of something to say here. So I do want to point out one thing. I got a comment on yesterday's video. I think somebody noted that I had the Texas flag up backwards. So I admitted at the time that I knew that, I had looked up, I spent a lot of time trying to figure out which way the flag went, and I thought I'd found the consensus, but apparently I was wrong. So the Texas flag now is in the right direction. So that's what that is. If you didn't recognize it because it was backwards, that's why. I never was a casual temp at Disney. I got hired in as a casual regular CR, and then in the middle, about 3 or 4 years in, I was working Christmas Parade and I was working Phantasmic at the same time, and just getting lots and lots and lots of hours. In fact, there was one year I think I didn't have a single day off between Thanksgiving and New Year's. And the way Disney works is if your average hours go above a certain number for like a 6 month period, you automatically get made a full-time employee. So 5 or 6 years ago, I went full-time, and basically that means is I get preferential choice on hours. If something new comes up, they'll give it to me first. And if there are hours, I get every hour I can work, with them and that. And so then of course, when it comes to seniority after that. So, when there were hours, I got good hours, but, it's all hit and miss with the parades, because if the parade shuts down, they don't have any hours for you. And a lot of people transferred to other departments. I know I have a few friends that transferred over to Star Wars Land. I didn't want anything to do with that. So, I'm glad I got out just in time. Yeah, don't feel too bad. I didn't notice it about the Texas flag either, like I said, but somebody pointed it out in the comment section, and that, I said, I spent a lot of time trying to figure it out, and I thought I had the right answer, but I asked them if you can give me something I can point to, and they said, yeah, there's a Texas almanac about flag usage, and I just Googled that, and it was right there. It showed a picture of the flag as it should be displayed. Apparently, the white stripe is supposed to be on the left when you're hanging it the way I am, or on the bottom, I believe, if you're hanging it this way. So. Yeah, I know. Somebody posted on one of my vlogs a link to somebody going in there. Like I said, I'm not interested at all. In the last few weeks I was in California. There were a couple opportunities where I could have done cast previews into that, and I just elected not to. I got better things to do. Like I said, I still technically work there, so they just haven't noticed, but I'm not even in the state anymore. But since I'm not getting any hours, I might as well keep it going, because as long as I continue working there, technically my insurance still is in effect. And if I were to go back, I could still sign myself or my friends in. So, all right, yeah. Thanks for stopping by, Jeff. See you next time. That was you, Savage 48, about the flag. Oh, okay. What was that? What was that? What were you referring to? That was me, Breck. Sorry, maybe I missed it when it came by. I don't know. I hope to consider myself a Texan. Like I said, I mentioned, I think, in one of my vlogs that I kind of identify with this place more than I ever identified with California. In the entire 55 years that I lived in California, I never once had a California flag. And I got that one the first day I was in the state. As a matter of fact, I can say now where I got it, because I bought that at the Billy the Kid Museum that we visited. They had that there. I knew I wanted to get a Texas flag, and that was on the list even when I almost bought one when I visited Texas a few months ago, just checking the place out. So yeah, I did. I got that. I also got that little sign over there at the Billy the Kid Museum. That's just celebrating the Winchester Company. It has like images of all the different kinds of shells, bullet shells that go with their guns. Yeah, I'm hoping my parents will visit. They're probably not going to want to visit this place, but they'll probably come out and visit. When we get into a house or something. My mom is not a huge fan of it getting really really hot. So my sister who lives up in Folsom, California, has been trying to get my mom to move up there, especially after I moved away. But my mom won't have anything to do with it because it just gets too hot up there, and she won't like it here either. At least not in the summer. But hopefully, by next winter, hopefully I'll be moving into a house and we'll go from there. And I'm sure they'll come and visit then. My parents have been trying to say that, you won't probably need as big of a house in Texas as you need it here. And I'm thinking, actually, it's probably going to be exactly the opposite, because I'll probably need a bigger house in Texas, because if anyone's coming to visit me, I'm going to need to be able to give them a place to sleep. And, I never had to do that in California, because when I was in California, if someone came to visit, they'd stay at my parents' house, and that was just 20 miles away. So I don't know. I'm probably going to have to, get at least something comparable to what I had before. And what I had before was 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, kind of an office nook, and it was at the end of the day about 1,850 square feet. It was a nice house, and it was good for me at the time. And like I said, I could have been very happy there for forever, but I just couldn't afford it at the end. So it was time to go. The job and the house all kind of fell apart at the same time. So it was time. Yeah, I'm hoping Jordan and Jaw will come and visit from time to time. Jordan's kind of said he probably will, so I'm sure I'll see him from time to time. Yeah. I'm also looking forward to having a little furniture in here, so there isn't so much of an echo in this place. That's one of the things you kind of run into when you have, wood flooring or tile flooring and, solid walls and no carpet, no furniture in here. This place is like an echo chamber sometimes. Some of the early videos I've done, it literally sounded like I was recording in the bathroom, because there's nothing to absorb the sound. So get a little furniture in here and maybe get a big throw rug in the middle of the floor here to deaden the sound a little bit, and it'll be a little better. "142 people watching. That's pretty cool." In terms of the paint job, I think at some point I'm going to probably go make an offer to the management to do a little of this stuff. I think they're going to be sick of hearing from me now after this toilet thing, because that is not going to be cheap. And like I said, I'm glad I didn't have to pay for that. So maybe they might be receptive to, letting me do some of this stuff, fix some of these things on my own, because the truth is I love doing things like that. So it really wouldn't be work to do it. It'd just be, oh yeah, hey, let's do this today. That electrical thing in the closet, that's such a simple fix that it could be done if, you get somebody that just cares. And I wouldn't really need, much in terms of supplies. I'm thinking, if I can just get the manager to approve of the supplies, I'm thinking I could repair what's in the closet there for 10 or 15 bucks. That's all it is. Pods are supposed to, one of the pods is supposed to arrive on Monday. The key pod, the one that has all the stuff that I need. That was the last one I loaded up. That was also the one that you guys saw get unloaded up from the truck on one of my earlier vlogs. So that one's supposed to be here on Monday. They pushed that up a little bit because of the problem. I still haven't heard anything from them about giving me any kind of a discount because of this. And the woman I've been talking to said she wanted to go listen to all the recordings. Well, that was a couple days ago. I'll probably have to go rattle her cage, but I'll wait until after I get my first pod in here and get everything kind of settled in here. I've kind of figured out how where I want to put everything in this place. So I've got that figured out. No, there's not just one. There's actually 3 pods, but the first one, I loaded a couple months ago, and it was stuff I needed the least. The second one I loaded, I don't know, a month or month and a half ago. Jordan, I think, covered that one on his vlogs. And that one had a little bit more critical stuff, but not the real critical stuff I needed to leave. And then the last one has like the bed and the couch and my DVDs and the refrigerator and my tools and all that stuff. And all that stuff's going to be here on Monday. So, I'm really looking forward to that. It's frustrating having to go out knowing I have so many tools, but don't have access to them. So I need a screwdriver. So I'm nuts. I got to go out and buy a screwdriver. Just what I need, another screwdriver, but I need it now. But yeah, anyway, if I do get them to approve me doing that, I'll probably ask them, say, hey, there's only 2 colors in this whole apartment. It's gray and it's white. So, I'll see if maybe they'll give me a gallon of each, and I'll just touch stuff up and make it better. And, in terms of like drywall, I'm not a really good drywall, but I got really small shoes to fill here. So, because the people here who are doing the work, they don't know anything about drywall. I can do better than that. I don't know. I haven't decided what's for dinner yet. I found a good Mexican place down the road a little bit that I had a couple nights ago, and that was really good. But the couple nights before that, I had another Mexican food. I had some more Mexican food. Love Mexican food, by the way. And I don't know. It wasn't really that good. I wasn't really impressed. I don't know. Maybe it just has to do with the fact that I bought something called a gringo burger, a gringo burrito. Maybe that was the problem, because basically what it was really dry, chewy fajita meat wrapped in a tortilla. And that was all that was in the tortilla, and then they put Velveeta cheese over the top of it, melted Velveeta cheese, and that was all it was. So I mean, it wasn't really that good to eat. I ate it; it was all right. I got it down, but it. Maybe I just ordered the wrong thing. I don't know. Well, maybe I'll give them another shot, see if there's something better. But I went a couple nights ago to another Mexican place, and that was fantastic. I've had Americanized burritos, and I've had authentic Mexican burritos, and I like them both. And this thing I got really wasn't either. I don't know what it was, but it seemed like a really nice place. And, there were a lot of people in it. It was really well decorated. And the people were really friendly. I just wasn't impressed with what I got. So like I said, I'm kind of going on the assumption that maybe I just ordered the wrong thing. Yeah, they had margaritas at that place, and that was the one thing that made it tolerable. The margarita was really good. Yeah, I like authentic Mexican food, and I like Americanized Mexican food too. They're both good, and I like both of them for different reasons. Elite Cafe in Waco. I'll have to check that one out. I've never heard of that one, but basically I haven't been going online and looking for restaurants. I'm just kind of driving up down the road and say, oh, let's see what that place is like. So if I haven't driven past it, I probably have, I don't know about it. So, I'll have to go check it out. Yeah, I have, if you are a CT, a casual temp, then you don't get one of your employee badge will sign you into the park, but you can't sign friends into that park. But if you get to the point where you're a CR or above, then you get another card, the main entrance pass, and that allows you to sign friends into the park. And I did that a lot. Jordan, every time you saw Jordan go into the park, that was basically me signing him in. So, it got to the point where I kind of burned myself out on that place. So I never really used it. as much as I could have. But you got, oh, what was it? I think it was 15 or 16 times a year you could sign up to 3 people in and get them park hopper passes for the whole day. And so, that was like, 48 passes, 48 times you could get people in. And of course, I could go in anytime I wanted, even day or night, even when the park was closed. So, that was really cool. And then I guess after you've been with the company for 15 or 20 years, they update you to a gold pass or something like that. The normal pass is a blue pass, and that enables you, like I said, 16 times a year to sign people in. But if you get that gold pass or silver pass or whatever it is, then I think it's like unlimited. You can sign people in every day. I don't think they would like you if you did that, but you could technically do that. Yeah, the days are fine. Yeah, there's lots of obstacles, but I keep my sanity by laughing at it rather than getting all bummed out and freaked out about it. That's why a lot of these vlogs are kind of are helping me deal with it, because when I can make you guys laugh about it, it makes me laugh about it, and that just really improves the attitude. It's a little easier to just go on, because just some of the stuff that's here is just so stupid. Like the whole issue of them forgetting to hook up the drain valve on the dishwasher. That could have been another disaster, and who knows what would have happened. If I started the dishwasher and didn't realize it wasn't connected, I might went away. I could come back, my whole place could be flooded, and that absolutely would not have been my fault. At that point, I would have said, "Okay, that's it. I'm out of this place. You're gonna have to. You got some work to do." Because I can't live in a place where the construction and maintenance is so bad that you forget to do stuff like that. I mean, that's just, that basically means they didn't even turn on the dishwasher to see if it works. So who knows? I might try and use the dishwasher in a couple of days, and it might not work at all. Yeah, I know it is. The whole thing is a sitcom. Like I said, that was initially where the laugh track came from. It's like, geez, this is just horrible. I got to do something, because if I keep showing this, everyone's going to get depressed and nobody's going to want to watch. So I had to figure out some way to turn it into a positive thing. Honestly, I spent more time preparing for that video than probably any other, because I came up with the concept actually the night before, and actually started finding laugh track videos online so that I could do that. And yeah, definitely gonna test the dishwasher before I put anything in it. I think basically that's just gonna have to be a rule on everything. I think the first time I fire up the range, I'll have to do that too, because who knows? That's all new, and I don't know. Considering the fact what they forgot to do in other places, who knows? Oh, I've been going easy on the landlord, just because I don't want him to get mad at me and drive me out before I can do it on my own. So, and I kind of feel sorry for it, because I think the landlord is also the owner. And one of the things I reported early on was that the sliding glass door doesn't latch properly. And so what I have to do is put like a bar in there to keep the sliding glass door from opening. Otherwise, I have no security in the back. And, I mentioned that to her on my initial list. I had a half a dozen or so things that I needed to have them work on. I didn't even talk about the electrical issue, but, it was some of the obvious things. There was a light switch that wasn't working, and some other things, and a toilet upstairs that wouldn't stop running because the chain was too long in the tank. And I also mentioned the door. And when I went in there a couple of days ago to talk about the toilet problem I was having, first thing she did was say, "Yeah, we ordered the door. I'm sorry it took so long, but I had to wait for my credit card to get enough money on it to pay for it." So they are dealing with it. I just think that there's only so much they can do, because there isn't a lot of money in the office. that's part of the reason why I kind of want to see if I can do something and do some of this stuff on my own. Uh, because I think that'll make them like me a little bit more if I'm fixing some of the things, and helping to make the place better for them. Yeah, that's another thing I noticed, Ellen, is there are no smoke detectors in this place, none at all. So yeah, I'm going to probably end up going and buying some of my own here just in case before I get too far into this. Because yeah, that was something I noticed because they were all over the place in my house, and I even had fire sprinklers in my house for doing that. So that was really cool. And there's none of that in this place. Now this is an older building, I'm pretty sure. Um, so I'm sure that they weren't, required when the place was built. I don't know what the laws are about smoke detectors in Texas. What editing software do you use? I use the Nero software. I like Nero primarily for as disk burning software, but they have a great suite of packet of program. They have a great suite of programs that go with them, and their editing program is really good. I've been using it for years. If any of you remember all those your daily jaw fix videos I used to do on the Facebook page when Jordan was off on his trips, I did all the editing on that and become really proficient with it. And I really like the program. It's really powerful. They can do some really kind of cool things. The whole laugh track thing, I couldn't have done that with a lot of software, but it was actually really easy to do with the Nero. So yeah, that's what I use. It's a Nero burning alarm suite. And it's really inexpensive too. I think, less than $100 for the whole package. It's really great. Can't recommend that enough. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. Carbon monoxide detectors weren't even required in my place when I moved in, but I know I had to install a couple of them when I moved out. So I don't know. I'll have to see. Smoke detectors, that should be easy though, because, that's what are those, 10, 15, $20 a piece at Home Depot? There's no reason for not having one if they're required by law. So I don't know. I'll look into that. I think carbon monoxide detectors are a little bit more of a concern if you have like an attached garage, because I don't know how much there is inside the house that would actually produce carbon monoxide. Got to admit, I'm maybe a little ignorant on that, and I'll have to look into that. But since I don't have an attached garage, well, maybe it's less of an issue. But yeah, and you're right. I will get them to pay for. I will definitely ask the landlord to pay for parts and stuff that I buy. I'll do the work for them for free, and that should help. Help them make the decision to do things right. If they're getting the apartment fixed up and made better, and it's not costing them anything more than a few bucks at a time, then you know what? That's a good thing. Yeah, who knows? Maybe the air conditioning outside is going to suck in all the fumes from the cars. I don't know. We'll see. A lot of regulations on things like that are state to state. So, we don't really necessarily do so much with the federal regulation of what's in houses. California was definitely on the high end of the regulatory map, which is why everything is so expensive. So it doesn't totally blow me away um, that they may have different laws here in Texas. But like I said, I'll look into that. No, I don't have a gas furnace. Everything seems to be electric. That's actually something I'm going to look for when I get a house. So I had gas in the house, in my old house, and and I really love cooking on gas. It's so much better than the electric stove and electric furnace and electric water heater that I have here. So I don't know where the heater is. The AC is on the ground outside. I don't know if there's like maybe a common uh, furnace for the whole building. I haven't seen, there is no, so far as I've seen, I haven't seen a furnace inside the apartment. So I'm guessing it's outside somewhere, maybe on a roof, maybe in a utility closet somewhere that I don't have access to. I do know, like I said, where the refrigerator or where the air conditioner unit is, because that's just right outside the apartment. And I know where that is. I've seen it. But you're right. I do need to go look into, at least smoke detectors and maybe the carbon monoxide too. I'll have to look and see what's actually required of that. Buy a canary. Yeah, that'll be great. that's the answer. Yeah, cooking with gas. I prefer, as somebody who cooks a lot. And I know I'm not a horrible cook, so I like gas because you can control the heat so much better. You use an electric cooking element, and it takes it a while to heat up, and it takes it if it's overheating, it takes a while to cool down. Gas is almost instantaneous, and I really, really like that. Yeah, I'll have to go maybe figure that out because at some point I am going to need a furnace in here because I'm guessing as hot as it gets here in the winter, it gets that cold in the winter, or as hot as it gets here in the summer, it gets that cold in the winter. In fact, when I was here, just a few months ago, back in April or May, it was still pretty cold here. I'm usually a short pants kind of person, and I survived all right wearing short pants, but a lot of the time it got cold at night, especially, and I decided that you're probably going to need heat here during the winter. Yeah, that's another advantage with gas and it's cheap too. It's cheap energy. I mean, for all the gas I used, my gas bill was rarely more than $10 a month. I wish I could say that about electricity. Electricity, you know, I rarely use the air conditioning at my house because it was so expensive to do so. In fact, I hadn't had the air conditioning on in my place for 5 or 6 years when I moved out, and I knew it didn't work, but it was never a big deal that it didn't work because I never used it. So actually, when I did go start selling, I ended up making the decision I needed to repair that. And so we did get it repaired, and I did operate it a few days afterwards once they did fix it. It just turned out the thermostat was bad, and I figured that's probably what it was. It stopped working when I replaced the old thermostat with a new one, and apparently I got a defective new one. And the people couldn't, the people I called on the phone couldn't figure that out. But the second the maintenance guy came in, or the second the air conditioning guy came in, he figured it out right away. I knew that it wasn't a problem because I knew that I could go out to the compressor outside and take the panel off the side of it, and there was a contactor, it's basic electronic switch, and I could push that contactor in and the air conditioning would fire up and would operate perfectly. So it wasn't anything physically wrong with the compressor itself, it was just that it wasn't getting a signal to turn on. So I figured it was probably the thermostat that was the problem, but when I called tech support for the manufacturer, they couldn't verify that's what it was. And like I said, so I just never got around to it. It worked fine with the heat, so that was all I ever really used for it. And so as soon as they found out that's what the problem was, the guy says, you know what, I got a replacement thermostat in the truck, we'll pop that on, and it works fine. So we were good to go. Yeah, well, I'm going to hold off on buying a house. That was the plan from the beginning. I wasn't going to, go out and buy a house right off because if I ended up in a job I wasn't happy with, I didn't want to be anchored to some place. And it's like, oh man, I found a new job that I do like, but it's 50 miles out of town or something like that. And now I got a 50-mile each way commute to work because I'm anchored to a house. If I'm in an apartment, you know what? If I find something that's 50 miles out of town, I can do that for a short period of time. Then when the lease is up, And, I can decide then we'll find a house at that point. But for now, like I said, the apartment's the way to go. And as much as a dive as this place turns out to be, what I like is that it's quiet, it's safe, and I know what the problems are, and I can deal with them. And like I said, the only real serious problem there was that toilet. That stupid electrical thing. It's technically electrically correct. It works. It isn't the code. So if you take care of it and don't do anything stupid, it shouldn't. It's not a fire hazard. I don't think I'm going to have any problem like that. So, at some point I'll fix that. Onwards and upwards. Yep, you got it. I haven't really looked for jobs as of this point because the only clothes I have are the ones I brought with me on the road trip to Texas. And if I do start doing getting a job, then they're going to want a social security card, and I can't even update my driver's license yet because I can't produce my birth certificate because my birth certificate is in one of the pods. Unfortunately, the birth certificate is in the second pod, which is going to be a couple days behind the first one. And I'm probably going to have to drive into Dallas that day to get that because I'm not ready to unload that one yet. I'm just hoping that the safe that holds both my social security card and my birth certificate aren't at the back of the pod because I hope I don't have to completely unload that thing to get to it. I hope it's on the edge. I don't remember exactly. Maybe I had to go watch Jordan's video because I think he shot video of the thing right before we closed the door. That might at least tell me if I can see it. There's not a washer and dryer in the apartment, but they have a common laundromat on the property. So I've used that a couple times. That's why you're seeing me wear the same clothes over and over again because I have 6 shirts, 3 pairs of pants, 5 or 6 pairs of underwear, 5 or 6 pairs of socks, and that's about it. And most of the shirts I have are the ones that I got on the Texas road trip because this is the one from Roswell, and I got a couple of Texas Chainsaw Massacre shirts and stuff like that on the trip. But that's really, beyond that, a couple shirts I brought with me. That's all I have. So, in fact, I was noticing today this is the last clean shirt I have. So, I think after I finish up with the live stream, I'll probably go run a load of laundry. Beauty is there's like 5 or 6 machines in there, 5 or 6 washers and 5 or 6 dryers. So, I can bring all of my stuff in at one time and take up 3 machines at once and have them all done at one time. Yeah, that'd be really funny going into a job interview wearing a Texas Chainsaw Massacre shirt. So yeah, probably not the best thing. But I don't really have any good clothes either because all of my clothes were what I figured I would need for the road trip. I brought a couple long pairs of pants and a short pair of pants. And that was really it. And all the good clothes are in the pods. So a lot of the pods, a lot of my clothes are in the first or second pod, but most of the stuff that I'm going to need is in that third pod. So that's another thing that'll come when I get that pod here on Monday is I'll have some clothes to wear again. Yeah, it's really quiet here. That's kind of why I like it. The apartment complex is really set up in a weird sort of way because the building, all of the parts of the building that aren't really bedrooms are facing the road or the parking lot or stuff like that. And then there's like an inner area, and all the bedrooms face onto that. So there's no road traffic. I don't hear any cars in there. My apartment is 2 floors, so I have nobody above me. I'm an end unit, so there's nobody on one side beyond that wall on me. And the only place where I actually have neighbors is in the wall behind the computer right now that you can't see. And even there, they're pretty quiet. I'm aware of them in the evenings, but 10 or 11 o'clock at night when I'm starting to wind down, they're quiet. So yeah, this place I think is maybe even quieter than my place in California. And I loved how quiet my place in California was. Yeah, in terms of exploring Waco and doing a bunch of vlogs on that, I really wanted to, that's Jordan's thing. And I kind of want to make this my own vlog. Jordan has been made it perfectly clear that I can vlog whatever I want on this. So it isn't him saying, oh, I don't want, you don't do that or anything. I could do that. It's just, I want to kind of separate, what I'm doing from what he's doing and not make it appear that I'm blatantly ripping him off. I'm already starting to do that a little bit with my goodbye at the end of my vlog. So I don't want to make it too obvious that I'm blatantly ripping him off. Yeah, I guess maybe it isn't a rip off. And like I said, Jordan isn't. He's commented on it a couple of times, but he's never really been upset about it. So yeah, I know this apartment is a constant source of vlogs. And, you'd be surprised all the things that that inspire you to do something like this. Yeah, well, that's part of it. I think there's enough interesting stuff going on. With the trip itself that obviously I'm getting people watching, so that's good. I appreciate that, and we'll keep doing it for the foreseeable future. It's I every time I log in and see, oh yeah, I got 10, 15 new subscribers today, that encourages me to want to go on and keep doing this. And so your comments and you guys watching all that, it makes it uh, it makes it worthwhile. It makes me want to keep doing it. So what do I like most about vlogging so far? Um, I guess I like that people are actually watching it and find this interesting. It also allows me to kind of, show my sense of humor a little bit. I have a weird, sometimes twisted sense of humor. So, sometimes things I do, it's like, yeah, okay, that sounds funny. The whole laugh track with the "that's not how it's done" vlog. That kind of made me laugh, and I kind of enjoy. I like having a sense of humor. Yeah, some people complained about the laugh track, said that they couldn't hear what I was saying over it, and that's possible. I had to adjust the volume on all the laughs because they were too loud, and possible I missed a few of them. But I'm watching that a little closer now. Hmm. Thanks, Ellen. Yeah, that was one of my favorites too. It's actually like I mentioned a little earlier. It's the only one of my vlogs that I've actually ever sat down and watched myself. And so if it makes me laugh, then you know what, it can't totally suck. Yeah, when we were doing everyone's vlog is different. When Jordan and I were doing the Texas road trip, he kept saying, "Oh, you should vlog this. You should vlog that." And it's like, no, I'm vlogging the things that are, this is I'm doing my vlog, and my vlog is going to be a little different from yours. And I love Jordan's vlogs and all that, but this is what I'm going to do with my vlog. It's going to be a little different. We can't all do the same vlog, and Jordan is just so much better at that. So Vlog your colonoscopy. That sounds riveting. Yeah, well, that's what I thought. Everyone's got to do their own thing. It would be really boring if everyone did the same vlogs. And I like watching Jordan's vlogs, and he inspires me to do some of these things. And he's been a terrific supporter of this whole thing. None of this would even exist if it wasn't for him. Because the truth is, the only reason I had any subscribers at the beginning to begin with is because his fans were interested in seeing what was going on with me. And in all likelihood, that was what really got me to keep going at the beginning. Was when I started getting some of the people following and commenting and watching and all that. So yeah, I've had a lot of fun doing it, and we'll keep going for a while. I don't know. Hopefully, I don't run out of any content. Fortunately, it sounds like this apartment is going to be an endless source of topics, so we'll go with that. Yeah, I hope to get a really nice rainstorm at some point. We've had a couple of them, and the what goes on here, is you'll get like a little streamer of rain that will come across your area, and so while you may be here, it goes this way, and so you're through it really, really quickly. Versus a big long streamer that kind of comes in and just stays over the same area the whole time. But one of the things I've noticed is that the storms are a little bit more powerful here. When we do get rain, it very rarely pours in California. You get rain and it'll be kind of a light sprinkle that'll maybe go on for an hour. When it rains here, it rains. And, it's one of those things you can't even walk from your house to your car without getting drenched. And I love that kind of stuff. Haven't seen any hail yet, but I also love thunder and lightning. I love that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's not how it's done t-shirts. That's maybe not a really bad idea at all. Like I said, I've gotten a few nice rainstorms. That one I got a couple days ago, just when I went out for dinner, and the sky just opened up. That was a lot of fun. And the one that happened a little bit yesterday morning too, that really came down pretty good. You don't really see it. I'm kind of going out of my way to not show the outside of this place too much because all 99.99% of the people out here are great and wish nothing but the best. There's that 0.001 that'll try and track you down, and I don't want to get in the middle of that. I've seen way too many things that Jordan's had to put up with, and so like I really wish I could have showed you how the rain looked, by looking over the fence and seeing it from a distance, because it was coming down so hard that I could barely see the apartment that was 50 feet away from me. The water was that thick. But like I said, I don't really want to let on to anyone exactly where I am, just because I don't want to run into those problems. Some people are just, I don't know what it is, but there's some people that just are really jerks. And, they don't have anything on their own they can point to, but they'll go and criticize what somebody else does. So that was a big part of why that was a big part of the reason why I chose Texas, because I wanted to get a little bit more seasonal weather. In California, it's hot and windy season, it's fire season, and then it's hot and windy season again. Occasionally you get some rain. It was actually a good year this year for rain. We got more rain than we normally do in California. But unfortunately, 90% of that rain came with three major gully washer storms that dropped, an inch or an inch and a half of rain in the space of 4 or 5 hours. That doesn't do any good in California because California doesn't have any reservoirs or anything to collect that water, so it just all washes out to sea. So, you don't really get any benefit from a big storm like that. The best storms are the ones where, it just kind of sprinkles for a 12-hour period, because then you have the water coming down at a rate slow enough that it can kind of seep back into the ground and recharge the aquifers and all that. But, even though we got so much rain last year, it didn't do any good because the water was all lost. And that's another thing that bugs me about California, is they refuse to do anything about that. There were cases where they were like flushing water, millions and millions of gallons of water out to sea just to save some fish, from having its habitat dried out. It's like, well, yeah, people need water too, and you're already complaining about droughts, and then you're flushing water out to sea for, a few fish. It's just, it just, the priorities are sometimes messed up in California. Yeah, light breeze. We call in California, they call them Santa Ana winds. Although I think what ended up happening is it ended up named after Santa Ana. In reality, I think it was originally called a Santana wind because it was a devil wind. Because what happened is, most of California is a desert, but the really fertile end of the state, where on the ocean side of things, is on one side of the mountains that are caused by the San Andreas Fault, and then once you get over the Rockies, you're in desert. And so what ends up happening is you get a high pressure system over the desert. It begins pushing all that warm, dry air offshore, back towards California. And so you get dry, gusty wind with low humidity, and that just, and of course, when you get dry air, then that dries out all the brush out there, and then you get the fires, and it's a mess. And there's so much they could do if California would just actually start trying to manage some of the water that it does get. Now there's plenty of water that comes into California, it's just most of it washes out to the ocean. Yeah, I remember Northridge. That was a bad one. That was the one that woke me up in the morning. That happened like 5 in the morning, as I recall. That was, I remember that woke me up, and I was freaked out by that. And it was such a big earthquake that I was 30 miles away from the epicenter, and it was still a massive earthquake. I thought that, we've been talking about the big one on the San Andreas Fault for so long that I thought that's what that was. Fortunately, I didn't have to go to work that day, and so I just sat and watched the news for the rest of the day. And it was really interesting because when I was in college a couple of years ago, I was trying to retrain for another job, and one of the classes I took that I really liked was geology. I've always kind of been fascinated with geology, and one of the things a lot of people don't know is that earthquakes, the waves move about 2 miles a second from the epicenter. So it was really weird watching like the news reports, and they'd be reporting, oh, we're having another earthquake now. And I'd count, okay, so they're about 20 miles away from me. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'd feel it in my house. And that was really weird. It was funny how that works. Yeah, I remember a number of earthquakes because there was that one. I remember Whittier Narrows, which is, I think that was like 87. And I remember Sylmar, which was back in the 70s. I was a kid then. I slept through that one. My parents used to joke I could sleep through anything. And yeah, I did. I slept through whatever that earthquake that was. That was a 7.0 something earthquake. And I slept through that one. Yeah, I remember Landers too. Yeah, I don't like earthquakes. I don't. That was one of the other reasons that made me choose Texas. We don't have a lot of earthquakes here in Texas, and the ones they do have are tiny, 2s or 3s. I can deal with that. But there's something about the idea of 100 million cubic meters of rock just moving on their own. I just don't like that. That's no fun. Yeah, Northridge was no good. Was it a 7.1? I don't remember what the exact number was. That's probably about right though. The earthquake didn't make me want to leave California, but the earthquake was a factor in me choosing Texas because I looked at Texas, looked at I look at the USGS has a great earthquake measuring website that I look at all the time. And that was one of the first things I did is look at that to see, okay, do they have earthquakes? No, not really. There's actually a couple of them right now that are registered in Texas, a long ways away from me, but they're like tiny, tiny little earthquakes, ones and twos. I'm not worried about that. When you get up around fours or fives and above, that's when they start getting scary. And one of the things I discovered after I moved into my place in California was that there's a pretty major earthquake fault, the Elsinore fault, that was like 5 miles from me. A little north of me, there were some hills that you had to go up over to get up to go like to Jordan's place, and yeah, those hills. That was an earthquake fault. Never been in a tornado. I am a little concerned about those, but unlike earthquakes, the beauty of tornadoes, you usually have some sort of warning if you're paying attention. And I went out and bought that NOAA weather radio a couple of days ago. And that's already gone off twice with the storms that we've had. So get a warning out of that. So I feel that I'll have a little bit of warning on that. You don't get any kind of warning on an earthquake. It's there. It happens, and that's the way it is. Yeah. The whole state of California is just crisscrossed with faults. And it seems to me they don't even know about all the faults. The Northridge quake, from what I remember reading, didn't they didn't even know that fault existed until that earthquake happened. So that was a fault that was completely unknown to science until Northridge broke, and it's like all of a sudden, oh yeah, I guess there's a fault there. Yeah, there's a lot of things in this place that are really substandard, but I have discovered that I think the best place in this place to go if there is a tornado is going to be underneath the stairs. I know they don't look like much, but it's up against a brick wall on one side, and I have the lumber from the stairs above me, so I think that's probably the place to go if there's ever a tornado that's a real issue. And the beauty is my NOAA radio has batteries, so I can just grab it on the way through. And in all likelihood, if a tornado happens, it'll be easy to catch the cats because they'll probably already be in their box. But also, Texas is going to have fewer tornadoes, I think, than if you move further north. You get into Kansas and Oklahoma and Nebraska and all that. That's where it really happens. Because what's going on with tornadoes, it's what happens. You have this warm, moist air coming off the Gulf, and it's being hit by this cold, dry air that's coming over the Rocky Mountains. And when they meet, that's what breeds the tornadoes. Well, unless we're having like an El Nino where the jet stream has moved those storms way south, most of those, the jet stream is going to be way north of me. So where the real dangerous area is not going to be as much of a frequent. And so, hopefully, I'll go my whole life without having to deal with one. I also had to think about hurricanes, and that was why I kind of chose to be as far inland as I am, because really, once the hurricane makes landfall, it begins losing energy really quick because it's the moist water in the ocean that, is the engine that drives the hurricane. And the most dangerous part of a hurricane isn't actually the winds, it's the storm surge. So, I'm 100 miles inland. Storm surge isn't going to be a factor here. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that they don't happen in this area. It seemed to me just a couple of days ago that storm that set off the weather radio, as just a warning here, did actually breed some tornadoes north of here. I don't think anyone was hurt, but it wasn't anything like that one that hit Jordan's hometown a few days ago. Yeah, tornadoes are going to, Kansas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, that kind of part of the state. Everything basically from Oklahoma up until you really get almost to like the border of Minnesota, and basically, everything east of that for about 1,000 miles. That's where you really get the tornadoes. So, like I said, hopefully it won't be a lot of those. Yeah, well, Dorothy was in Kansas. You see, that's right in the middle of Tornado Alley. All right, see you, Ellen. Thanks for stopping in. Wow, we've been going for 2 hours now almost. That's insane. Doesn't seem like that to me, You'd think I'm talking for 2 hours. You'd think I'd be hoarse by now. Yeah, Virginia seems like it would be kind of on the edge of what would be considered Tornado Alley. It's a little maybe too far north and a little too far east maybe. Thanks. I'm glad you like the channel. I hope you keep watching. That's actually part of the reason why I'm trying to do this, let this live stream go for a while. I got so many views from that live stream I did last weekend. I had more views from that than any other video I've done. And it really helped my total view hours too. Because I think what goes on, Jordan was talking to me about this, and he was saying he thinks that what happens is that people come in, they see the live stream, they watch a little bit, and they have to go do something. They come back and they watch a little bit more of it, then they go do something else, and they come back a third time. And I guess probably every time they stop by and see it, that counts as a view. But if you watch the whole thing too, and if I can get 200 or 300 people to watch all 2 hours of this, that's going to be a lot. That's going to help a lot getting my total view time built up. So I really appreciate it if you watch that. That's going to help me get to the point where I can monetize this, and that's really the next major hurdle to hit. So it sounds like everything's kind of winding down here. So I think I'm going to probably end this right now. I really appreciate you all watching this. Thank you for watching my vlog and leaving your comments, and I will see you next time. I'll definitely try and do another one of these live streams soon. All right, good night, everyone.